This segment of the Alice Stewart Show is brought to you by Aero Plumbing. For all your household or business plumbing needs, call Aero Plumbing at 1-866-PLUMBER or schedule an appointment online at aeroplumbing.net.
And we're back on the Alice Stewart Show, 7:35, 25 minutes before 8 o'clock. We have talked for quite some time, many, many months, about this important public safety issue that deals with prisons in the state of Arkansas and overcrowding. And oftentimes people don't realize, you talk about prisons and folks just want to change the subject. They don't like to talk about it, but it is a public safety issue. And with prison overcrowding, oftentimes inmates are released or they are sent down to jails, and if the jails are overcrowded, then folks are not remanded to jails and they are out in the communities. And then unfortunately, that has caused some unfortunate consequences as a result of that. So our legislators, thankfully, are looking to address this situation. And here to talk about that, I'm joined with Senator Eddie Joe Williams. Senator, good morning.
Good morning, Alice.
Well, thanks for joining us. And I want to ask you about this first off. And as you know, when you talk to your constituents, you talk about building a new jail and prison overcrowding. I think folks just don't like to talk about that. But explain this in light of as a public safety issue.
Well, first of all, at some point we may need a larger jail. I'm not even questioning that. We may need to build 1,000 beds somewhere in the future.
Right.
No, But today, we've got an issue that's on the front burner, and no one is willing to talk about it. All they're asking for is a new jail or a new prison at about 1,000 beds at $100 million, which principal and interest is $231 million, not to mention $40 million a year to run it. So
right.
we've got to take one step back and say, how do we first of all relieve this overcrowding that's in the county jails? We've consistently about 2,300, 2,400. State prisoners, they are our responsibility, and we have saddled these counties with taking care of them at about $40 a day, and in some cases we're not even paying, the entire bill for that. So I'm asking the prison to step back and say, what can we do immediately to give some relief? We can get these back up out of the county jails, and there's a whole host of things that we can do. Let me give you an example. In the state of Texas in 2007, they did a survey, and they were anticipating a 10,000 bed shortage for prison. Well, last year they closed 3 prisons. So there are opportunities out there. I'm asking the Department of Corrections to look outside the box, and we do very little of reentry. For the most part, we give people $100 and a bus ticket and say, see you later, hope you don't come back.
Right.
And unfortunately, almost half of those show back
Absolutely.
up.
The recidivism rate is so high. And so to your point, dealing with those people in regards to counseling and drug treatment is a key component of this.
Absolutely. And it really bubbled up about almost 3 years ago now. Act 570 was supposed to eliminate the overcrowding and delay building new prisons. Well, unfortunately, there were some people who thought it was necessary to kind of hide some numbers, reduce the numbers, if you would. And we've seen it in our crime rate, and especially in Pulaski County. We've seen, people that had multiple charges, but were still on the street, should have been in jail, and weren't. So this kind of bubbled it up, and that's the results of the 2,300 or 400 backup, is the public are saying, look, you can't let these people run the street. So now what do we do with them? So, there's an opportunity, and it's now, I've told the prison board or the Department of Correction that I found absolutely no support to increase car tags to support a $231 million facility and about $40 million a year to operate it. So if we're not willing to spend that kind of money, and I hope we're not until we look at all alternatives, then we need to continue to have this debate and figure out what we can do with this backup, first of all, in the county jails.
And that's a key component to short-term solution to this, and also potentially working on the long-term problem of the recidivism rate. And also, folks have talked about expanding the use of drug courts, focusing on treatment.
That's one thing that in my proposal in the study that the Bureau just completed. One of them was expanding drug court. We found if you really give intense supervision, that your success rate is much higher. It's, do we need more, parole people? Maybe. If that's part of the solution, then we need to be looking at that. But just to say we need to build a new $100 million facility, to me, that's unacceptable. And I'll tell you, if we built it tomorrow, which it would take 3 to 5 years if we decided tomorrow to build it, I can promise you when it's completed, if we don't change the way we're looking at corrections, we would be looking to build another one.
It'll fill up in no time, and as you say, it'll be time for another one. Well, where do things stand? Last question. Of course, all the talk is on building a new prison. You've got these proposals to look at other alternatives to help curtail the recidivism rate. Where do things stand in terms of the next legislative session?
Well, we're hoping to have some legislation drafted and ready to go. We've got a briefing prepared for the new governor. We want him to look at it. We certainly would like to have him on board. I think both Asa is on record that he's not willing to consider an increase in car tags at this point.
Right.
But to build a new facility. So what's the alternative? I'll give you a good example. I know we're running short on time, but England, Arkansas had an abandoned middle school. About 3 years ago, the Corrections Department came to me and said, we want to build a new training center. We need $5 million. And I said, no, we're not going to do it. So we went to an abandoned middle school in England, Arkansas, and today they employ about 40 people at that facility, and they train sometimes 200 to 300 at one time of prison guards.
Well,
and we did it for $500,000.
That's amazing. It's amazing, and the use of abandoned school buildings and available structures is so much more cost efficient than a brand new shiny facility.
The benefits just continue. If you're talking about a city of the size of England to get an industry that'll employ 40 people, I'm told, and the mayor jokingly says, you can come see me, but don't come for lunch, because you can't even get in the restaurants at lunch down here because of the amount of people that are coming off out of the school and buying lunch. So
it's a good problem to have.
Huh?
It's a good problem to have.
It's a good problem to have, and we're going to continue to debate it, and hopefully we can come up with some solutions that everyone can agree with.
All right. We appreciate you, and we'll follow up as those suggestions are pitched to the new governor and certainly in the new session. State Senator Eddie Joe Williams. Senator, thank you.
Thank you, Alice. Good day.
Same to you. We will take a break. When we come back, we will discuss proposals outlined in the Ferguson case with Adrian Elrod coming up on the Alice Stewart Show. This segment of the program brought to you by Aero Plumbing. For all of your business and household plumbing needs, give them a call, 501-588-3200, or go online at aeroplumbing.net.